This episode of Chaotic Digital World is brought to you in part by Next Steps Inc. Next Steps, a software created for schools or organizations to transform the way we think about attendance management. Did you know? When an institution or organization uses 5 minutes per day for 6 sessions, that's equivalent to 15 wasted hours per month. And if there's an emergency evacuation, emergency personnel have to go in and search for those who may be hiding. We've solved those problems and more. At Next Steps, you can say goodbye to manual attendance and hello to efficiency and productivity. Our software automates the entire process, saving you time and resources. Visit us on our website at next-stepsinc.com to book a demo and learn more. We're waiting to speak with you.
The website was created to purposefully deceive children, just to demonstrate that sometimes we can be gullible when we see something that looks legit, that it isn't always necessarily legit. And so we have to really think about online sources and information and make sure what we're reading is, that we can verify it.
It's a brand new day.
Today, we are going to discuss a topic we feel is critical for children and parents alike to better support children: media literacy. As you have listened to interviews with some of our guests, you have heard many examples of how media can influence what people think, feel, and how they act. While there are many advantages to using digital devices and social media, it's important for us to understand the impacts that might be harmful, especially for our children whose brains are still developing and learning how to interpret complex topics. So today, Chris and I are here to just share some thoughts and ideas. We're learning a lot, and we're hoping to share some tools and ideas and things for you to think about when it comes to media literacy. How's it going, Chris?
Hey, it's going well. Thank you. I'm excited to discuss this topic with you. I think it's something that is not discussed enough. Hopefully we can bring some more attention to the topic of media literacy.
Yeah, I mean, it's all around us, and we've heard that through so many interviews, the way we communicate, and our kids are communicating every day, all day on blogs, whether they're doing gaming, they're in chat rooms, they're watching YouTube videos and reading comments, there's social media sites, podcasts. I mean, we are on technology from the time we wake up till the time we go to bed, and our kids are on it a lot too.
And media literacy can extend beyond that. It could be magazines, books, things you see on the television. It extends to anything we interpret that's media-based, which is a big part of our daily lives.
Right. And we're learning as adults how to navigate that, but it's so important to think about the fact that we have to teach our kids how to navigate those things and how to just be knowledgeable and aware. So one thing that I wanted to talk about was clickbait sites. Ooh. You were telling me about one that I wasn't aware of, but there are tons out there.
Yeah, clickbait sites are dangerous. And I mean, if you think about satire, right? Some of them are out there just to get clicks or try to be funny, make jokes. It could be based around humor, but ultimately it doesn't disclose that it's a satire site. Not to get too deep into that, but it could be pushing propaganda, it could be pushing fake news, intentionally, or like I said, it could just be for comedic purposes. But if we're not careful, we're reposting, we're sharing things that are not real. And obviously, there's a credibility factor. If somebody sees that and say, why are they reposting this? Do they really believe that? So we have to consider those types of things as well. But an example of what a satire site may be is you can go online, and for the most part, a lot of the major news conglomerates, and I'll use CBS as an example, there's cbsnews.com, which is a valid news site. Whether you like or dislike CBS News, that's your preference. But there's also cbsnews.com.co, which is a satire site. And if you are not paying attention, and you just quickly glance or you're multitasking and you see a headline from cbsnews.com.co, you could be fooled into something that's absolutely not true. Something could be humor based, something that could be false political based, but the information on that site is very much not real. And if you follow a couple of different pathways, and it looks like cbsnews.com intentionally, but you have to chase down the statement that says about us, this site is based off satire. It's not prominently displayed. You have to go find it. It's hidden, it's buried, it's intentional. It's clickbait. They get money still off advertising from that site and people opening or accessing. But again, we get caught off guard and we're not paying attention. Those are the types of stories that get spread that create a little bit of chaos, depending on what it is, or fake news or things that are not true. So that's just one example, one small example of sites based in satire or, just based around clickbait.
Oh, and I'm sure there are so many. And I mean, we can even get caught off guard as adults. So when kids don't know that, when kids don't know to verify their sources or to read the whole thing and not just look at headings, that could definitely lead to trouble for sure. So I have this crazy story when we were talking the other day. I forgot all about, but there was this website called Save the Pacific Northwest Tree Octopus. And as a teacher, we teach about making sure we verify sources. And I posted the website for the kids and just told them to do some research. And it was amazing how many students looked at this website that looked legit and really thought the Pacific Northwest Tree Octopus was a real thing. So the website was created to purposefully deceive children, just to demonstrate that sometimes we can be gullible when we see something that looks legit, that it isn't always necessarily legit. And so we have to really think about online sources and information and make sure what we're reading is that we can verify it.
Yeah, that's so cool. Such a great example, and the fact that teachers are leveraging things like that and bringing that into the educational system. The earlier we can teach media literacy, how to assess, interpret, and react to it appropriately is so important. And I love that that's part of, especially what grade is that? Fourth grade?
Yep,
Yeah.
Fourth grade.
Incredible. And it's really just about that. What you're reading, ingesting that information, and then starting to ask questions based off, is that even possible? Like based on that example, and just verifying your sources. It's really cool.
Yeah. Well, and Lexi was talking about that in her interview, how before we used technology at school, we had just one source to look at. You had your social studies textbook or you had a reading book, and that's where you got your information. And it's great that we have so many sources out there and we can research in a variety of ways and watch videos and listen to clips and read books and read articles. But we really just have to be aware of what we're reading and making sure that we know what the truth is. It's not as straightforward as it was before technology.
Think about going back in time a little bit to when we just had encyclopedias to reference.
Oh, yes.
Right? And that was our source of truth, good or bad. And I'm not saying that was a bad thing. You got to learn different things or reference that while you're writing school papers and things like that, which is great. But the amount of information that we can access and verify and get different perspectives, which to your point, that's what Lexi was referencing, which is really cool to think about, right? If you really want to learn more about a topic, you can quickly go out and do so and get different perspectives, different context, or just learn more, so much more than what we previously had. But again, there's a lot of opinion pieces out there, and depending on what you read, it could be something, or in your sources, like one source of truth versus multiple sources of truth, right? You could fall into an echo chamber, and it can create biases, whether you realize it or not. And just being open to where you're getting your information or where you're validating your information, I think is just as critical. Don't just rely and that's kind of the point of media literacy, don't just rely on one source of truth. If you have a source and you see something and you question it, don't just take it as truth. Validate it, see what it's about, and learn more about it through a variety of sources, and then find valid sources as well. There's a couple, Nick, I don't know if you've seen these before, but there's a couple of charts out there. You can get a sense of where certain news media companies fall on the spectrum of like center, they just report facts, versus others that just report opinion pieces mostly. And again, it's okay to have an opinion. That's not the point of this. But if you're taking opinion from somebody all the time, then you can fall into an echo chamber a lot more quickly than if you're reading more fact-based articles that are just more objective and less opinionated. It really is just all about balance.
Right. And it follows that algorithm. When you're reading those, you're going to read more and more of them. So that's really fascinating to think about. Okay, let's go down a different road. Celebrity endorsements. I know we see them everywhere. We know as adults, again, most of the time, that just because somebody endorses something doesn't mean that that's what we should do, or where we should go, or what we should wear, or what we should eat, or what we should drink. But I think teaching kids that, they don't always make that association. And we were talking about a few endorsements that, could cause kids to make decisions just because of seeing a celebrity on something, which is pretty crazy.
Think about us watching a show 8, 9 o'clock at night, Jack in the Box or Taco Bell or whatever comes on TV, and you're like, oh,
yes,
I could go for a 2-pack of Jack in the Box tacos.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm joking there. But children thinking about how we know what that means, right? We know that we're being targeted at a specific time in the evening. Certain advertisers pick, based on what they believe the audience is, and they have a lot of information, so they probably know audiences for a particular show or something. They have target markets, and they drive towards those targets. We understand that as adults for the most part, but children don't quite understand that, and they could be so tied up in their world, whether that's an entertainer, think about, Taylor Swift, or think about BTS, some of those big influential artists and celebrity endorsements. And as example, Nick, I'll just throw one out there. And I'm not saying that this is bad, but there's intentionality behind these campaigns. BTS having their own McDonald's meal. So when you are on Instagram as a child, and I say child, maybe up through high school or something like that, and you are really into BTS, and everything on your social media feed is BTS, well, that's probably getting back to the folks that are targeting. They're intentionally sending these out. It's on TV, so it's probably everything that you're watching, everything that you're seeing on your social media feeds. You're now seeing these ads everywhere with BTS and their meal. So when you hear a BTS song, which is the point of that, you are associating it to McDonald's, and it's an association thing. It's very intentional. It's targeted, but not that that's wrong, but children don't really have the wherewithal to interpret that as an association thing. So they may want to constantly have McDonald's and get that BTS meal or things similar to that. And that's just one example, but these types of things, I think Disney has been known to target all the way down to the centennial generation and the earliest or youngest users on social media, just to kind of help guide and direct their next generation of Disney lovers, right? So it's happening, and they don't quite understand it in the same ways that we do. So that's where some education could come in to help them interpret those types of targeting activities.
Probably not even aware. Taylor Swift, as you mentioned, she has a lot of Diet Coke advertisements, and our family we've become quite the Swifties. But that doesn't mean I want my my 4-year-old to ask for a Diet Coke. So
Right.
just making sure that we teach them about those associations.
Yeah. And again, they're not doing anything wrong.
No.
That's not a right or wrong type of thing. It's just being able to interpret those types of things that they're seeing so that they better understand that. And that's where we can pass along understanding and education around those types of activities.
Absolutely. And when I leave here, I will be going to Jack in the Box to get some tacos now. Sounds really good.
It does.
Okay, so those are just some of the examples when we think of media literacy, but we really want parents and people who encounter children in their lives to know the impacts of poor media literacy. I mean, whether it's harmful comments on someone's YouTube channel or someone makes a post on Facebook or Instagram and they're checking to see how many likes or comments they get, or they're getting bullied on social media or YouTube. They're exposed to explicit language. All of those things and so many more can affect students, can affect children. It can cause loneliness. It can cause addiction, as Tracy Parnell talked about in her interview, that addiction piece is real. It can cause depression, anxiety, people feeling like they don't have friends. There are so many impacts that it can have. So we're hoping that you can walk away with a few tools today of conversations you can have or things to make sure that you are teaching your kids, because, that's what it's all about, is learning from this and, educating our children. So I was given this book by someone I work with that I want to talk about called Reader Come Home, The Reading Brain in the Digital World. It's written by Marianne Wolf. And it was so fascinating as a teacher and as a parent to just think about how media literacy can impact even reading. So I admit, never really given it a thought. I use Epic at school and the kids love to read on Epic. And it's great because there are hundreds and hundreds of books for kids to choose from. It is very rare for kids to choose a book over using Epic.
And what is Epic?
So Epic is a website. It's just a website. They get a class code from me and they can log in. They can look for books by topic. There's fiction and nonfiction. There's leveled books. I can assign books or categories if we're researching a certain topic. It's great. It's a great site.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But that being said, this book just really kind of helped me think about the importance of getting our hands on books. And it's a new goal for me, is to make sure that my own personal kids and kids at school are. We know reading is important, but one fact that it had in the book was that there has been a 40% decline in empathy for young people over the last 2 decades. And the association could be how much we're using technology and even reading on technology. Empathy is about understanding and being compassionate toward others. And it's an important skill for our kids to have. I mean, empathy is crucial in our world. And, we do see that kind of changing over time. It also talks about losing the quality of attention necessary to actually give time and sustain deep reading. We are on digital devices. We're usually multitasking or looking at the pictures instead of really reading deeply and taking the time to be patient and try to understand the text and what we're reading. It just really talked about so much that we just have to really be balanced. Like, it is okay for our kids to be online or to read books on Epic, but making sure they pick up a book too. So really cool read that I would definitely check out.
That's really cool. I'm going to check that out. And media literacy obviously has become a lot more of a hot topic, and I think it still is undervalued and not getting its the respect that it deserves. But I'm so glad that it is becoming a bigger part of the conversation around social media, just browsing online, reading articles. I'm just thrilled that it is becoming a topic that people are learning more about, understanding the need to be media literate.
Education is powerful. Knowledge is power. Okay, I got to talk about another great book. Have you ever heard of A Parent's Guide, Keeping Your Children Safe in a Chaotic World?
I have.
You have?
I
It's
have.
a great book.
Yeah.
So I'll let you tell a little bit more about the book, but as we're talking about some of those harmful things that can happen and how poor media literacy can cause that depression, anxiety, it can affect our education, it can cause loneliness. This book has some great resources and tools. We know from many of our interviews the importance of parent dialogue and checking in on your kids and having those conversations. It has some next steps to take. There's a social media contract. There's some different resources in the book to use to support your kids. So it's a great tool.
Well, first off, I'm so glad you read it, and I'm so glad you found some value in that. That's really the purpose of is just to continue to create awareness, spread knowledge, and make sure parents have the tools, have bringing this conversation to light. So thank you. I appreciate the endorsement there.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great book.
So if you want to learn more, especially about media literacy, stay tuned for an excerpt from my book, The Parent's Guide, Keeping Your Children Safe in a Chaotic Digital World. It's on Amazon Kindle as well. I co-authored the book, and it is listed under my cool pen name, J. Michael Warren. But seriously, we greatly appreciate all the support.
All right, Chris. Well, it's been a good chat. Thanks for learning alongside me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And thank you for your time.
Absolutely. And remember, in the midst of chaos, there is always a way to find clarity. Have a great day.
Bye. Chapter 1. The Importance of Digital Media Literacy. What is media literacy? In simple terms, media literacy is the ability to understand and use media in an informed, critical, and responsible way. It involves developing critical thinking skills to understand how media can influence people's thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. In addition, it enhances a person's skills to access, analyze, evaluate, create, and communicate across various forms of media. Media literacy education is vital. It helps children develop the skills needed to navigate the complex media landscape. Children and teens are overexposed to various media, including television, radio, print, and digital platforms. This exposure can impact thoughts, beliefs, and actions. Media literacy training can help. Individuals can learn to evaluate the media rather than simply accepting it at face value. This allows for more informed decisions about the media consumed. That way, biased or misleading information does not sway opinions or beliefs. Media literacy is essential in modern society. It enables individuals to create effective media. In the internet age, anyone can create and share media messages. They have the potential for a significant impact on public opinion and discourse. Media literacy improves critical thinking skills. It further assists in evaluating the credibility of sources. It aids in examining the purposes and perspectives of different media messages. This includes analyzing the techniques used to create and manipulate meaning. It also creates greater media awareness. Media literacy education helps teens better understand the different media types. Then, they can make more informed choices about their interactions. Also, media literacy education improves communication skills. This can include learning to use various media types to convey information and ideas. Finally, it will increase media production skills to inspire the creation of meaningful media content. As a result, individuals can create and communicate ethical media from different perspectives. The 5 parts of media literacy. Media literacy can be a complex topic to understand. To simplify, let's look at each of the 5 parts. Access. Access is the ability to use multiple media types. Different media types may include traditional media or digital media. For example, television, radio, and print are all in the traditional media category. These have been around for a long time. Digital media is newer and includes things like social media, websites, and apps. People with good media literacy skills can use multiple devices and types in a safe manner. Also, users can recognize overexposure to platforms and content. They may ask themselves, am I using social media too much? Am I using the platforms that I have access to in a meaningful way? Analysis. Analysis refers to the ability to evaluate media in a critical and thoughtful way. There are different techniques and perspectives used in media messaging. For example, a person with good media literacy skills can identify stereotypes or biases in a news article or advertisement. It also helps users tell if the content is for entertainment or is real-world events and issues. They may ask themselves, What is the message in this post? Who is the author of this article? Should I check if this information is accurate before reposting it? Creation. Creation is the ability to create and produce media content such as videos, podcasts, social media posts, and blogs. It is vital to have ethical considerations in creating and sharing media messages. People with good media literacy skills can publish a blog or podcast to share their thoughts and ideas with others in a productive manner. They may ask themselves, is what I'm posting misleading or biased? Communication. Communication refers to the ability to communicate and interact with others using media. Examples are social media or online forums. People with good media literacy skills can use social media to engage in respectful and productive discussions. This includes posting comments on YouTube, interacting on gaming platforms, or hosting live streams. They may ask themselves, am I effective in communicating with my audience? Citizenship. Citizenship is taking part in society as informed and responsible digital citizens. It may look like someone telling others about a volunteer event in their community, or being part of an online forum about activities in their neighborhood. People with citizenship skills are more effective in managing their digital footprint. They may ask themselves, is my online persona considered to be negative or harmful? Are my engagements and responses considered insensitive or detrimental to others?